answer, but I believe in God. God is love. If you can love one another, that is it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a Christian or be a Muslim or be whatever you want to be to love people. Welcome to the program, beautiful people. My name is Glory Ekenewono, your host on Imowe, and today with me in the studio I have two gentlemen, and both of them are Peters. Okay, you understand why I'm laughing. You're welcome to the program. Please differentiate. Peter who?
I'm Peter Farrington from Canada.
Okay, you are welcome to the program. And
Thank you.
second
I'm
Peter?
Peter Kuri from Lebanon.
Okay, nice to meet you both, and welcome to the program. Okay, the topic of today is God. G-O-D. I'm gonna go with you first. Do you believe in God?
No, I don't actually. And when I was young, you're probably wondering why.
Okay.
When I was young, I went to church. My parents were quite religious. We read the Bible, we went to Sunday school. But for some reason, it was all kind of intellectual. It was of the mind, and I couldn't connect, I couldn't relate to it. But when I moved to the Gulf, to the Middle East in 2008, I started to have quite a different experience here. And a lot of them, which shifted me from intellectually believing in God to, I would say, knowing Him. I don't have any doubt that God exists, so it's not a question even of belief for me anymore. It's a question of knowing.
Okay, so you believe that He exists.
I don't believe, I know He exists.
Okay, you know He exists.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
What's your opinion to this?
Well, I believe in God, and the opposite of what I said. Once I actually came to the Gulf, I started believing this more and more. So when you come from a background where like there's only maybe like a couple of religions, and then you come here where you're open to many cultures, let's say, and many different people, and then you might see that maybe each one of them has a different God, but at the end, that humanity that they have toward each other and that like love that they have toward other humans, that's not like any natural, or let's say any earthly love. So it's something that is above our own love. So that's why I think when I moved here and started seeing all of this, I started believing more and more.
Okay, so actually, golf is a place to come and discover the true meaning of God, yeah?
For me, it was an experience because exactly when you see different people that believe in different God, but at the end, this God that they believe in refers to the same thing, that is love toward each other and toward something. Then yeah.
Okay. For me, I believe in God.
Let's say this example will show you that humans can actually give you more belief in God than actually the mosque or the church themselves.
Yes.
So while I was going down, I finished work when I'm like, of course, I don't go through a car or everything there because there's a lot of traffic. So I was waiting for a bus. I was driving, I was walking to the bus station, and then I see an old, in his mid 80s, an old aged man. He was looking through the garbage, and like I went to him like he was a Muslim, because like in Lebanon you can define like he was wearing the traditional clothes and everything. So I went to him like, why are you looking in the garbage? You can like, you have the right to actually go and like get food. There's a lot of free places that offer foods for people that are homeless or those that have food. He's like, I don't want to go to any of them and get food. So I'm like, why don't you go knock the door on anyone that will give you food? He's like, I don't need them. But I'm like, you're eating from the garbage. You don't need to eat from the garbage. He's like, he said in Arabic, I'm gonna say it, Allah Kabir. So as it's translated in English, he's like, God is bigger than any of them. So I'm like, go, like you voted for politicians, you voted for people that said that they're gonna take care of you and everything. Why don't you go and ask from them? These are the people that said an oath that they were actually gonna help you. They're gonna take care of you. You're in your 80s. You should actually be living in a home care. We should be actually working for you. And he's like, God, God will take. He will not take revenge. God will see what I'm going through, and God will let me sit next to him when I'm gonna go up. So this is when you believe. When you see these small acts, this is one of the examples. Like you have a lot of examples, but when you go there, when this guy tells you that I don't want to go to the mosque and knock the door to ask for food, I want to get my own food. God is watching. If they don't want to give me my food, it's their problem. So when you see this, you're gonna see that a guy who's living on the street can actually make you go and believe in your God way more than actually a pastor would go and talk for hours about examples and stuff that would happen to him. So again, I'm telling you, it's not about going. It's about experiencing and believing and seeing the being of God among each one of us.
It's really interesting, the story that you've told, because I lived on the streets in the city. I used to sleep in parking garages, on park benches. I didn't have any place to live. I had to find my own food, and I would do what I could to make money for many months. But to be honest, it was some of the happiest times of my life, because I would get up in the morning when I felt like it, and I would, straighten myself up as much as I could, and then I'd see everybody else looking at their watches, dressed a certain way, always in a hurry, never any time to look around. And I thought, wow, I'm so lucky. Actually, this is how I felt. I'm so lucky. I don't have any of this. I'm so free. And this is how it felt for me. I didn't feel any sense of despair, or, even if I was hungry, I didn't think of it as hunger. It was more just, well, that's just the way it is for now. It's really, in part, how one looks at it. But I never thought about those experiences from a religious or God perspective. But as you've just said, Peter, I feel he was there with me, guiding and supporting, because it was really wonderful energy. And for me, it's not just about, in terms of place, it's not just going into the like a church or a mosque or other type of temple, although it can be really powerful there if you're resonating energetically with those that are in there at the same time. If your energy is different, you won't get that same kind of feeling. As soon as the person that's talking is speaking, they can be talking in such a way that you can lose that feeling right away, because they're at a different frequency, a different level. That's why, for example, you can go into nature, and you go into nature and you feel great. I mean, we're biologically designed to connect with nature. So just from doing that alone can give you that wonderful feeling. Or geographically. That's why, again, coming back to this part of the world. This part of the world has incredible energy to it. I feel it. And when I move around between the countries, there's a significant difference for me in how it feels energetically to be in these different countries. And that's, again, I think, so important. It's not necessarily a building. It's not a place specifically. It's a place for you. And why do we move? Why do we travel? Why do we go on holidays? Because we're feeling this. This is emotion there. There's a flow. And we want to be part of that flow. And when we do move and shift, we go onto that flow. And if it's done, quote unquote, right, and we stay in that feeling, the experience is really wonderful. You feel like you're in heaven. You're connected continuously with God.
You should be a teacher.
I hate teachers.
I know.
Except for one, right?
Say God, it's stuff isn't.
Yes, except for one teacher. Okay. At the end of it, it's all about being human.
Exactly.
Humanity. It's all about showing love to your neighbor, to your brother, to your sister, to anyone who, giving a helping hand to anyone who needs it, if you can, at that time. Finding a way of connecting to your God, being at peace with yourself. That's what matters.
If I can just I completely agree. And it's, again, in part on what Peter was also saying, it's not a question of being seen to being generous to somebody. It's not, oh, somebody's watching. Here, have
You
this.
don't. No, you don't have
This
to let people notice.
This motivates a lot of people, especially with people. So, if I was a very left-brained person, I would consider religion to be very important for me because it's about rules, it's about regulations, it's about process and rights. It's a way of organizing one's thoughts and feelings so that it's manageable, so it's understandable. Because when one starts to get this connection, feeling with God, it can be overwhelming. It's a lot to take in. And for many people, including myself, it's very difficult. So that's why in many instances, and you can say the same about when it comes to government or other things like this, you want to put the trust in somebody else to do it for you. You need to have some sort of guide, some sort of rules to make it manageable for you. And for me, this is why religion is so important, and that's why it's here. The challenge is that we end up putting rules in place that maybe relate to the one person that experienced them and said, or a group has agreed, this is the way it should be. Follow this and you'll be fine. But actually, for somebody else, it may be a little bit different. For me, this is what works. For me, this is what works. But no, even though I'm experiencing and feeling certain things, I'm supposed to do this. So this is the challenge for me when it comes to connecting with God, because we're each individual people. We each have our own way of understanding and perceiving the environment around us. And the energy from God, it's invisible. It's subtle. It's something that you're not even aware of. Why did I turn right here when I was walking down the street? You don't know why. You just did. There's a guidance that's happening. And why do I say this? I say this because when I started to paint, which happened when I moved to the Gulf, never had much interest before. What I see, what appears on my canvas, is really amazing to me. Often what happens, I paint, maybe the next day, maybe a month later, what I've painted happens. So this to me is not something that you can follow a rule book for. It's like a miracle for me. It's like turning my world upside down. Imagine if I didn't have that kind of grounding in religion to begin with, if I didn't have those rules, if I was, let's say, only 20 years old or something like this, I might actually freak out. I might go, oh my God, what's going on? But I have enough maturity now, although sometimes you don't believe that, but I have enough experience, enough wisdom to be able to say, wow, this is really something. And to actually see it not from a position of fear, but actually, like you said, Peter, love. It's really amazing. So for me, the journey to the Gulf, to the Middle East, has been incredible. I understand why this is the root of so many of the major religions in this world. And if you extend to India, the Indian subcontinent, then you've got Buddhism, you've got all the major religions from the books. They're all from this part of the world. And you can feel it when you're here. It's really astounding. It's incredible.
I think it's all about peace of mind.
Completely. I haven't watched the news in maybe 15 years.
Yeah, you said that the first day you said that, I was like, wow.
And this really helps because what does the news do? It feeds you with things that you can't do anything about. Of course, news, to make you pay attention, has to be sensational. So it's violent. It's like crazy. Even social media, I'm the same. I don't have that much interest in social media because, again, it's just all flash. It's things that make you uncomfortable. It's things that make you feel maybe inadequate to some extent. For sure, to make you afraid. And when you're afraid, what do? You go shopping to make yourself feel better. I just avoid all this. Mind you, I do love to shop. So
Yeah,
this
me, I
part
love the part
happens.
of shopping now.
Yeah. But the peace of mind, really important. And I got that also when I moved to Oman. That's where I moved to, because the connection with nature there is phenomenal. I love nature. This is my background. This is what I've done for my entire career. But to move to a place like Oman is very peaceful, and the people extremely welcoming in Oman. This really helped me also. Within a week, I was in Omani's homes. I was their guest. I went to many weddings, and this really helped bring me into this kind of feeling. And then things started to happen, many miracles all the time. This is when I started to really know that God is here.
Okay, Small Peter. Yeah, but it's a title also. It's nice to call you Small Peter.
Till now, it's okay.
Yeah, until now it's okay. Yes.
I want to grow at some point. So
Of course, you're growing. Um, Peace of mind matters a lot to you. Yeah.
well, of course, especially since I'm in the creative field. So if I'm not in peace of mind, I can create something. And this is what I want to go through. So as older Peter was talking, I'm a religious person, and till now, I believe that religion is doing something good and something bad. The good thing is that it's getting you closer to God and closer to actually being like forgetting the hatred that you might have to someone else and just focus on the love and peace that you have. But at the same time, it's giving you a bad image of God. Like if we all believe, no matter what is our religion, we all believe in love. Why would the religion come and telling you there's consequences there? You might like God might get angry at you, or like let's say as they all talk, you might go to hell, for example.
Mm.
But why would you believe this? Why would you actually you in your beliefs you believe that God is love and that God no matter what is not gonna punish as we call him his son, which is the human on this planet. Why would he punish you and make you suffer, which all we believe in is like love and peace? So I don't believe that religion is doing a good thing. That's why I'm always doubting a part in my religion. Of course, I'm not doubting my religion at the end, but I think nowadays people like the head of these religions are trying to overtake their human side and forget their spiritual side, where they're actually materializing everything, or they're actually thinking of how to control the other humans instead of actually like loving them and treating them equally. Like when you see these big religion heads living in big castles and like let's say wearing gold, and then you still have another brother human which is still eating till today, till 2020, still eating from the garbage, still living without a house, without a roof on his head. This is where you start questioning human versus God. This is where you say no, God should exist. All people should understand God and forget about the materialistic. You're gonna die. You're taking nothing with you. You're just gonna take what you left on this earth from love toward other people. You're not gonna be remembered as, oh, this guy had that much, or this guy had this, or this. You're gonna be remembered that this guy was nice to everyone. This guy loved everyone. So I don't think people are forgetting the side of your humanity. They're going to the side of just looking well.
If I could,
Yeah,
I
of
really
course.
like what you're saying, and my perspective to this, to some extent, is makes me think of the word forgiveness. I think because humans are involved with religion, it's human beings that have the responsibility to guide others. Because we're human, we're not perfect.
Mm-mm.
We're susceptible to those urges, to those pressures, and it's, I think, a slippery slope and very easy to be drawn in to the materialistic and the kind of the wealth side of having that position. So I don't know what the answer is, except to say that I wouldn't want to be in that position, because the temptations must be extraordinary, and the temptations that I experience as an ordinary person are tough enough. But to have that kind of position, I think it'd be really difficult. And so I actually feel, I don't want to use the word sorry for those people, but I think to some extent they've not been strong enough and they've lost that opportunity that's been presented to them to really connect in a really wonderful way with God. So
Whoa, I'm actually overwhelmed. Okay, my own side of this story or this whole thing is but I prefer praying uh, in my own quiet place, doing good to people that needs it, without letting my neighbor know that I affect the other neighbor. Yeah. So what we're saying is this: at the end of it, it's all about humanity. Thank you.
can I say something?
Okay.
Okay, I have to say something.
It's okay. Say
Because you can edit this out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, again, the notion of separation is really a key one that we somehow have to overcome. We use the phrase humanity and love. This is true. But as soon as we put a label on Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, we're separating, we're distinguishing. We have the same issue when it comes to color, nationality, economic class. As long as we put people in these boxes and we label them a certain way, we're going to always be faced with this issue, the issues that we're talking about right now. So I'm very fortunate because I have too many nationalities in me. I think I told you before, I can trace my roots just back to my grandparents, 12 countries or several different races. I'm very lucky that I feel comfortable to connect in this way. And this is where I feel everybody needs to go, to get beyond the external.
Well, I need to say something after that sentence.
Okay.
So when they talk about that difference, for example, you can see how everyone, like now you came to the Arab world, you came to the Gulf, you saw everything, but I want to say about the people that never came here, they have a bad image about us. They all think that this is where like everyone's killing each other, or like where like you only have someone that's forcing the other. Well, I want to say something, and it's something that happened with me here in Dubai. And after this incident, I really wished I was born in the Emirates. I was an Emirati citizen. So if you go and see anything on TV, let's say we're gonna talk about in America, if the presidents wanna go buy a pizza, you're gonna see like you have an army going with him. Okay, I was waiting once here in Jumeirah at night. I went to a small cafeteria, and then while I was waiting, ordering a small juice, Al Maktoum himself came with nothing, no one, just a small car. He went down as any other human, as humble. He greeted everyone. He grabbed a cup of juice like everyone else, said hello, paid, left, and everything. I want the others to notice that the Arabs, they have this picture about them which is wrong. Like, trust me, if you see a person that's handling one of the biggest countries, one of the most wealthiest countries you can say in this Arab world, and he's as humble and as loving for everyone else, you can see that their mindset, the politics that they think through, is really wrong. This is how you build a country, with humbleness and love toward everyone. So that's what I want to say about this differences you were talking about, like from nationalities to racism to anything else. Like, I think this is what's gonna actually make us reborn as new humans again. This humble and this love that should be from the biggest one to the smallest one among us.
This is such a good point. Sorry, I hope you got some film here, because it gets back to me not watching the news. It's the media and the news clearly that's causing the problems to a large extent. Because when I told people I was moving to the Gulf, I had some friends go, "Oh my God, what? You're moving where? Please be careful." And I said, "Okay, is that because of the driving? Why is that?" And of course, I knew why, but I was really surprised at the extent to which people were terrified from me that I was coming here. And some of them came here and they were embarrassed. They said, "My God," they had no idea. They said they were expecting life to be completely different because of what's playing in the background all the time. You often have the news on, you're not even listening to it consciously, but your subconscious is. And your subconscious is way more powerful than the conscious mind. So it's remembering all this, it's feeding your DNA, and bang, you get this impression and understanding of another part of the world because of what you're being fed through the media. And this is no accident. This is on purpose. The people that are in the CEOs, the divide and conquer kind of separation that are deriving power from this situation, of course, they're benefiting from it. This is why, in many instances, going back to the West, I went into a restaurant one time, not a dissimilar story from you, with my family. It was during Winterlude in Ottawa. And we went inside this restaurant, we sat down, and we thought, wow, this restaurant is packed, but there's an empty table here. We were so lucky. So we were sitting there, we never even looked around. But I noticed the coat of the man sitting at the next table, and I thought, wow, that is some fancy coat. And then I finally looked up. It was our Prime Minister sitting there. I went, what? And he was with his kids. He was just having lunch. I mean, of course, it was for show, too. But still, we were able to sit there and have lunch right beside him. So it's nothing like what you read in the newspapers, you see in the movies. Everybody's a human being, and if we just allow people to be like this, you know, we remove the power from the media, from all sorts of sources. If we just ignore it.
And the world will be a better place.
Mm.
Thank you, and thank you for coming to the program. Thank you so much. Can we go grab a cup of coffee?
I don't know if I have time.
I have to go back to the studio.
Sorry, what
Oh,
time
okay.
is it?
11:35.
Yeah, so I'm going to be
You're getting
late.
fired.
Yeah, what to do?
And you're still recording that? Oh my God! All right. Thank you so much. The camera is off now, yeah? Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
thank
now we can tell you what we really think.
Yeah. Okay, you can say whatever you want to say.
Now you believe in God.
Yes. Now he's being
Now I
God.
believe back in God.
Actually, how come that's still moving if it's off?
It's not off.
Oh my God, that's what it is.